Ever feel like you're just drowning in information, but still missing the really big picture?
Yeah, like you wish there was just a shortcut.
Exactly, a way to connect the dots. Well, that's what we try to do here on the deep dive. We do the digging, you get the insights.
And today, we're definitely digging into some pretty out there concepts. Really fascinating stuff.
Okay, set it up for us. What are we exploring?
We're looking at a set of interconnected ideas about reality itself, consciousness, where things might be headed.
Sounds heavy.
It's deep. It's drawn from a specific source, a YouTube video. Emerging now, Part 3, Karma is Continuous, from Clif High's Sci-Fi World channel.
Clif High, okay. So concepts like ontology, Materium, karma, but maybe not how we usually think of it.
Right, and psychic stuff, Qualia, even a different take on the singularity.
All right. So, fair warning, these are unconventional ideas. We're not necessarily endorsing them, but exploring them. Let's dive in. Where do we start?
Probably best to start with the foundation they lay out, which is called the ontology.
Ontology.
The core idea is that fundamentally everything, and I mean everything, is supreme consciousness. It's not just in reality, it is reality, the source.
The source of everything. So why are we here then? Why this world, this experience?
Well, the thinking presented is that this supreme consciousness, being everything, already knew everything. It needed novelty, something new.
Ah, okay. So it created our reality, this universe, as a kind of experiment to experience something unknown.
That's the gist of it, yeah. An ongoing experiment in generating novelty.
And within that, there's this term, Materium.
Right. Materium is basically the physical realm, matter. The world we touch, see, interact with. It's the stage, you could say, for this experiment.
The physical manifestation of that consciousness.
Pretty much. But here's a twist.
Oh.
The source suggests that things we take for granted, like space, distance, even moving through space, might be illusion.
Illusions, like not real.
Or perhaps constructs created by that supreme consciousness. Like we're sort of living inside its thought, almost.
Wow, okay. That's a lot to take in right away. How does karma fit into this picture? It sounds different from the usual idea.
It is. It's presented not really as cosmic justice, good deeds get rewarded, bad deeds punished later. Not episodic like that.
So no final judgment day tally.
Doesn't seem like it, according to this view. It's framed more as a continuous engine.
An engine.
Yeah, an engine of cause and effect.
Yeah.
Every action, every choice creates ripples, reactions, which lead to new situations, new choices. It just keeps flowing.
So my decision now instantly creates effects that shape the next moment and the next.
Exactly. It's this constant unfolding, this generation of novelty through action and reaction that keeps the whole experiment going. It's inherently creative.
That's a really different perspective than karma, is balancing the books.
Okay, what about psychic connections? You mentioned that.
Yeah, so if the baseline reality is this interconnected supreme consciousness, well, then we're all part of it. We're all connected on some fundamental level.
Like nodes in a network? Sort of. And the idea is that there are ripples, maybe like thoughts of this larger consciousness flowing through reality. Things like astrology or tarot are even mentioned as ways people try to interpret these patterns or waves.
So hunches or feelings might be picking up on those ripples.
Potentially within this framework, yes, which leads to qualia.
Qualia, right. What are those exactly?
They're described as the smallest, most basic units of meaningful communication or connection between consciousnesses. Not just data, but meaning.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Like a shared glance that says everything. Or, that feeling you get from your pet's gaze. A nonverbal understanding. A moment of shared significance.
I think I know what you mean. There's a story in the video about this, right, with someone named Heidi.
Yes, quite a specific one. The speaker apparently wrote a scene about a character finding a closet full of clothes that just perfectly fit out of nowhere.
Okay, weird scene.
And then, around the same time, totally independently, this person, Heidi, felt this strong urge to send the speaker pictures of her closet full of clothes.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah.
That's pretty specific.
Right. It's presented as a really strong example of a qualia, a shared, meaningful, seemingly orchestrated coincidence, a sign of that deeper connection.
That is wild. It does make you think about those uncanny moments we all sometimes have.
And it extends further. The source even floats the idea that falling in love maybe isn't entirely our decision.
What, like the universe plays matchmaker?
Kind of. That intense connection, that pull. Maybe it's a gift from the universe, as the source puts it. The larger consciousness bringing two aspects of itself together for, well, novelty, experience.
So less conscious choice, more cosmic nudge.
That's one interpretation offered. And it leads to the idea that because we're all interconnected in this way, everything is potentially psychic.
Hmm. Everything's connected, so information isn't truly separate. Is that where the secrets revealed idea comes in?
Exactly. If we're all part of this shared consciousness, holding on to truly isolated secrets becomes, well, maybe impossible in the long run.
So things are just naturally coming to light more now.
That's the suggestion. Not one big reveal, but an ongoing period where hidden things surface because the connections are strengthening, or maybe we're just becoming more aware of them.
And they mentioned things like remote viewing, like people could potentially access hidden info.
Yeah, the hypothetical example given is using skilled remote viewers to, say, find out who was on the Epstein list. The idea is that if the information exists within the consciousness field, it could potentially be accessed psychically.
Right, tapping into the network.
And all this constant revealing, this flow of new, often disruptive information is tied to something called hypernovelty. Things changing faster, authority eroding because secrets can't be kept as easily.
Okay. This worldview also seems to mess with our standard ideas of time and space.
Big time. Or maybe no time. The concept presented is the eternal now.
The eternal now.
Yeah. The idea that we are always in the present moment, the future never actually arrives as some separate place we get to. It just becomes the next now. And the past is just nows that have already happened.
So linear time is more of a perception than a fundamental reality.
That's the perspective here. We're always right here, right now, which then impacts space.
How so?
If time isn't linear like we think, and if the Materium, space itself, is more of a construct of consciousness, then maybe distance isn't the barrier we assume it is.
Leading to instant travel, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Things like zero-point technology, supposedly used by ETs.
Yeah.
If you understand the ontology, the source suggests conventional travel, like rockets to Mars, becomes kind of obsolete. Why travel through space if space isn't fundamentally real in that way?
So concepts like up, down, distance, they're just relative to our perception within the illusion.
Pretty much. Meaningless outside of our immediate frame of reference, perhaps.
Okay. And the singularity, usually that means AI getting super smart, right?
That's the common definition now, yeah. But the source offers a totally different take. It's not about AI becoming conscious. The view here is that true consciousness requires embodiment, a physical presence. Instead, the singularity is when humanity reaches the same fundamental understanding of reality that these supposed ETs have.
Understanding the ontology. Realizing we're all part of the supreme consciousness.
Exactly. It's a singularity of understanding, a collective cognitive shift, a mass awakening to the nature of reality.
So it's a philosophical event, not a technological one. And they point out the term existed before computers.
Right. Suggesting the core idea of a fundamental shift in human awareness has deeper roots.
This is a completely different framework for reality. What are the implications then, if people started thinking this way?
Well, the source suggests it could eventually challenge, dominant paradigms like rational materialism in science, maybe even traditional religious structures might need reinterpretation.
The speaker identifies as an ontologist, right?
Yeah.
With some specific influences.
Yeah, Mabinasa mentions influences from Catharism, suggesting a rereading of history and figures like Christ through this ontological lens. It's a whole reinterpretation.
And finally, there was a really specific prediction thrown in there about the economy. Gold.
Yes, quite specific. A potential future move where the U.S. Treasury might start issuing bonds directly.
Bypassing the Fed.
Potentially marginalizing the Fed, yes. And these bonds would be backed by gold, with the payout in physical gold.
So instead of getting dollars back, you get a fraction of an ounce of gold per bond.
That's the scenario described. A way for the government to fund itself, perhaps offer investors a hedge against currency devaluation by paying out in a tangible asset.
A return to gold-backed currency, in a way.
Interesting. Yeah, presented as a possible mechanism to navigate economic uncertainty by linking debt to a physical asset.
Wow. Okay, so just to recap this whole journey, we started with this idea of supreme consciousness as everything, creating our reality, the Materium, as an experiment in novelty.
Right, and space and time within that are maybe more like illusions or constructs?
Then karma, not as judgment, but as this continuous engine of cause and effect driving novelty.
Which connects to us all being linked, potentially psychically, sharing these subtle communications called qualia. Remember the closet story?
Unforgettable. And because of that connection, secrets are harder to keep, leading to this secrets revealed time and hyper-novelty.
And time isn't linear, it's an eternal now, which changes how we might view space and travel, maybe even making things like zero-point travel possible.
Leading to a different kind of singularity, not AI, but a mass shift in human understanding of this whole ontological picture.
And finally, touching on how this view might challenge current science, religion, and even potentially lead to shifts in economic structures, like that gold bond idea.
It's definitely a comprehensive, if unconventional, view of, well, everything.
Absolutely. And again, these are ideas drawn from that specific source material, presented to get you thinking.
Yeah, it's a lot to chew on. It gives you a very different lens.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. As you go about your day, maybe look out for those qualia, those weird little coincidences or moments of connection. Could they be more than just chance?
Or consider that feeling of time. Does it always feel linear? Or does the idea of an eternal now resonate somehow? Just some things to ponder from this deep dive.